everyone. I'm Katie Nobles,
And I'm Michael Einer, disability attorney.
and you guys are watching The Bottom Line. Today's topic, how to prepare for your telephone or video hearing. So Michael, a lot of people are having to learn to adjust in many different ways in this day and age. And one of the big things that people are dealing with is how to adjust to a telephone or video hearing. Explain to us a little bit about how this is different from a normal in-person hearing.
Sure, great question, Katie. So just for background, right now, obviously, we're dealing with the coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic. And because we can no longer have in-person hearings at the Social Security's Office of Hearing Operations, what they've done to allow the workflow to keep going forward is they've enabled us to have telephone hearings, like you asked. The question is, what's different about them? Ultimately, not that much. And I get this question a lot from concerned clients. At the end of the day, my philosophy has always been that disability cases are judged based on the medical records, and to a degree, the testimony that may be given at a hearing. But very little of a judge's decision is based on how somebody appears. But that's really the big element that's been lost because we're over the phone. There's not a video option currently that Social Security is using. We've transitioned to doing, it's only your voice that gets recorded. But as far as the process of the hearing, it's the same. We still take testimony from the claimants. Attorneys are given non-attorney representatives are given the opportunity to give opening statements, closing statements. There's experts that are available, just like when we, used to make in-person appearances at the hearing office. So ultimately, not a whole lot has changed. I will say there are some cases where I still really believe it's important for somebody to have an in-person hearing. For example, if somebody, may come across differently over the telephone than they do in person, and ultimately I want clients to appear at their hearing most closest to how they truly are. And, the phone eases people sometimes. And I don't want my clients to be panicked when they're having their disability hearing. But at the same time, if you're applying for disability because of a panic or anxiety disorder, I want the judge to see how you would function if you had to actually interact with somebody in person as opposed to just over the phone, which is how most jobs are performed. So, there's definitely circumstances where I'm not a huge fan of the telephone hearings we're doing now, but overall, they're basically not too much different than the in-person hearings as far as, the ultimate outcome. And at the end of the day, my job is to deliver the outcome for my clients, which is to win their case.
How should someone prepare for the hearing over the phone? Just tell me a little bit about the lead up to that.
Great. So, the preparation that goes into a phone hearing really shouldn't be much different than the preparation for a, regular in-person hearing. At Liner Legal, for example, we're still going to do a pre-hearing appointment with the client. We're going to go over, what they can expect the hearing is going to look like, how it goes, and we're obviously going to personalize that to the specific administrative law judge that's going to be conducting their hearing because they all do it a little bit different. But the client should still be prepared to talk about their health issues, what a typical day like is for them, their work history and education, just that like when we were, having our hearings in person.
Absolutely. So they should have that paperwork in front of them just to reference for any specific question.
Yeah. And one thing that's always a big peace of mind, gives clients a big peace of mind is, we're doing that work for our clients. So, I'm not expecting my clients to have much paperwork in front of them. I actually don't want a client that comes to their hearings with, 10 pages of notes, because I don't want it to seem overly rehearsed. At the end of the day, a disability hearing is supposed to be a conversation between the judge, the claimant, the attorney, and the experts that are available. And so when, people start to over prepare, and I think it is possible to over prepare for a hearing, you lose some of the genuity in the process. So, as far as the preparation, I don't think that COVID has changed that much. We're doing things basically the same, but I really think that you still need to make sure that you are well prepared for your hearing.
With all of these changes, I think that people can really feel overwhelmed and maybe a little bit nervous. Do you have any advice to your clients or anyone that might be preparing for something like this?
Well, some advice that I would give to a client who is maybe overwhelmed is first to make sure that you've spoken to your attorney or a representative before the hearing and asked all the questions that you have. Making sure that the medical records have been submitted, any opinions from your doctors have been received by the hearing office so that those are considered with the decision. Just the background preparation. As far as the hearing itself goes, it really is a conversation. I always try and, one thing I always tell my clients when I'm meeting with them before their hearing is, if you've watched Law and Order and you've watched Matlock or any of those, television shows, forget what you've seen. That is not what a disability hearing is like.
Right.
And that's not to say that, it's truly a friendly, happy proceeding. It's a disability hearing, but there's nobody that's there opposing your claim. Nobody's trying to prove that you're not disabled. It really is a conversation. And that really does help to ease the minds of a lot of my clients before we actually have their hearing.
Thank you so much, Michael. And Michael's going to be here answering all of your coronavirus questions. You can visit our website, linerlegal.com, and submit your question.
And also feel free to reach out to us through our Facebook page or the message part of Google My Business. We're available to answer your questions on so many different platforms. And we're not just available to answer those questions. We're looking forward to answering your questions.